Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Well, the best laid plans of mice and men. I was supposed to be doing one video yesterday and one today. The idea of which was to reduce the sort of the workload and recording sort of an hour's worth of videos in one go. But to be quite honest, I did yesterday's video. Wasn't happy with it at all. For the usual reasons, you know how I am. I watched it back and I thought, no, too rambly, too sort of wishy-washy and all over the place. So I'm doing it again this morning, and I'll do the shout-outs and also sort of the chit-chat roundup on this one. And then a little bit later on today, I'll do sort of the bin it or keep it, the top 10, book of the week, all that sort of stuff in the second one. So it will work out one weekend, it will. I'll get it absolutely right. If I'd have been happy with that video yesterday, I would have posted it yesterday morning. And that is what is going to happen next week. Definitely, I'm going to get it right. So, as I say, welcome back to the channel. I've got a new subscriber, Ginger Ninja JK. Now, I don't know his name. What's your name, mate, if you're watching? Ginger Ninja his channel specialises in horror movies. There's a lot of Australian horror on there, a lot of American and British horror on there. He does some absolutely cracking reviews. Nice short ones as well. Again, like the one I sort of mentioned last week, sort of short, sort of 6, 7, 8 minute videos. Easily watchable and very, very entertaining. Some of the videos he's done, I'll just read some of these out. He does tend to specialise in, well, not specialise, but he does a lot of sort of the sci-fi channel, the Asylum type videos, such as the one I watched last week, Three-Headed Shark. He's done ones on Mega Piranha, Shark Exorcist. I can't even begin to imagine what that's even about, but that's one I'm curious to check out, basically due to the title. And he also does a lot of sort of more well-known ones. He's done reviews of Friday the 13th Part 2, The Fly, what else have I got in? Night of the Creeps, and one that I really enjoy called The Green Inferno. Now, The Green Inferno is a movie directed by Eli Roth, who's one of the kings of horror nowadays, but his horror is extremely graphic, extremely nasty, and The Green Inferno is no different. Now, I haven't actually seen this movie. It's a movie that I've shied away from for quite a few years because I'm fairly certain I would not be able to get through it. And after watching Ginger Ninja's review, I think I've probably made the right decision by keeping away from it. It sounds absolutely horrible. I have to confess, I did look the trailer up on YouTube yesterday, and there was a video on there called Eaten Alive, which I watched mostly like this. It was absolutely horrible. Basically, a guy literally being eaten alive by cannibals. The story, I mean, just have a look at his video and you'll see what I mean. But the story is just a group of students going to the Amazon jungle with the intent of doing some kind of conservation work. The plane crashes, they get taken in by one of the indigenous tribes who turn out to be cannibals. It sounds absolutely horrible, really nasty. It's not the kind of thing that I would actually watch. Why do I get the feeling there's a challenge, Tony? Come on. We've already had one this week. Rick, I can't remember what the second title was that you mentioned, but one of them was Human Centipede 2. No way. Absolutely not. I actually had a guy at work come up to me this week and say, you want to watch Human Centipede, the original? And it's like, no, absolutely not. I know what it's about. I know it's extremely nasty. It's one of those movies that I would not watch purely based on what I've heard about it. That would be an interesting question for you guys, actually. Have you ever not watched a movie based purely on what you've heard about it, the rumours, the reviews, etc., and they've just put you off even even watching it. The Human Centipede, the sequel to that, and the Green Inferno definitely fall into those categories, or that category for me. So as for Challenge Tony and asking me to watch Human Centipede, I'll think about it, but it's highly unlikely I would actually sit down and watch it all the way through. I had enough trouble with the last one. Ginger Ninja, basically, welcome to the channel. If you want to join the Facebook group, I don't know whether you're into the whole Facebook thing, but we've got a group called RetroMovieZone ChitChat. Feel free to pop over, join the group. You're more than welcome to post your videos on there. Any posts that you put on there that are movie related would be more than welcome. So if that's what you're into, then by all means pop over and join. We're also on Instagram, so you can follow us on there. I think I followed you on Instagram. I'm fairly sure I did. I can't remember. It's been a busy week. But yeah, as I say, welcome to the channel, mate. Feel free to join the group and any other bits and pieces that we're doing. You'll be made more than welcome, and your videos will be more than welcome. Right, Freddy Got Fingered, the final word. What did I think of it? And I've got notes here. I think you pretty much know what I thought about it. The reaction video pretty much told you everything that you need to know concerning what I thought of it. I know this movie has got a fairly steady following. There are a lot of people who like this film. As I said last week, when I mentioned I was going to be watching it and doing a reaction video, most people just burst into hysterics, and I thought, yeah, they obviously know something I don't, which was actually true. So what did I think of it? To be absolutely honest, I didn't enjoy it very much. I did enjoy the whole process of doing the reaction video. That was great fun, and I'm fairly sure you guys enjoyed that as well. But the actual movie itself, I got very little pleasure out of it at all, apart from a couple of music tracks at the beginning, one by the Sex Pistols and one by Gary Newman. I thought I was in for a bit of a treat when I heard those. Nothing could have been further from the truth. I just found it not that good. I don't like slagging films off, I just don't, but this one did very little for me. I'm not a great fan of knockabout, violent humour. I used to love shows like The Young Ones, that kind of thing, and that's about as violent as I ever got. But the violence in Freddy Got Fingered is completely on another level. There were certain scenes on there that I wish I'd not seen, that I wish I could unsee, reset the brain, so to speak. But I didn't get very much out of it at all. To be honest, I didn't really enjoy it. It's highly unlikely I will watch it again. But if you like scenes, graphic scenes of broken legs, women giving birth and babies being swung about on an umbilical cord, I got the horse scene completely wrong. Apparently he was trying to milk it as it was a cow, thought it was a cow. I completely misunderstood that. I'm not going to go into detail on that one. But it did very, very little for me. The only pleasure I got out of it was doing the reaction video, which was great fun. And I will definitely do another of those at some point. But please don't ask me to watch Human Centipede or the Green Inferno. Please, I'm begging you. But the final word on Freddy Got Fingered, not my kind of film. If I'm looking at comedy, I would rather watch Woody Allen, Neil Simon, stuff like A Touch of Class, Annie Hall, Manhattan. Really enjoy those sort of script-driven, witty comedies. Violent, gory, brutal comedy, I now know, does absolutely nothing for me. But as I say, process of doing the video, brilliant. The film itself, I actually deleted it off the hard drive because I have convinced myself I will never ever watch it again. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I think it is very unlikely that I will watch Freddy Got Fingered again, and that is my final word. on that movie. Apart from the fact I didn't really find Tom Green that funny. It's a shame because it had quite a good cast. Anthony Michael Hall was in there. What was the woman? I can't remember her name. But it did have 2 or 3 people in there, and I thought this could be quite good. But it just went down a road that I was not familiar with and was not ready for, and was not overly happy with. So that's it. Freddie got fingered. Draw a line under it. Forget that one now. Scott, happy 21st birthday for last week, mate. I haven't watched your birthday haul video yet, but I'm going to be having a look at that later on, so I'll let you know what I think of what you've got. Well, I'm fairly sure you're going to get some really decent stuff. I've got mine coming up, my 60th in a few weeks. I'm fairly sure I know what at least one of mine is going to be, due to a certain hint being dropped earlier in the week. So I'll be showing that off later this month. Sad news this week. Michelle Nichols passed away. Michelle Nichols played Uhura in the original Star Trek series. She was a real trailblazer. I mean, it's not to be underestimated what she actually did. She was involved in the first interracial kiss, the very first interracial kiss on television. And as I say, it's not to be underestimated, because in 1966 or 7, it was absolutely unheard of. It was a kiss between her and Captain Kirk. Can't remember the circumstances behind it. I can't even remember which episode it was in. But it caused one hell of a stir, especially for a fairly low budget kind of science fiction series. So yeah, she really was an absolute pioneer, and she was basically attending conventions right up until the end, near enough. But yeah, she will be sadly missed. She was in, obviously, the original Star Trek. She was in the original 5 movies. I think it was the motion picture, The Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, Voyage Home. Is it the far? I can't remember the 5th one. The Undiscovered Country, Undiscovered Universe. I'm a huge Star Trek fan, but I can't remember that one. But she was in all those, and we've now lost 2 or 3 of the original cast. Leonard Nimoy has gone. I believe DeForest Kelley, who played Bones McCoy, I think he's gone. So there's not many of them left, but I mean, they're all knocking on now. You've got to remember that Star Trek was like 60 years ago. So they're going to be getting on, so we're going to be losing them. William Shatner's still going. He does a series on one of the satellite channels, investigating supernatural mysteries, that kind of thing. He's looking his age, though. He really is. So, as I say, sad news about Michelle Nichols. Right, next one. Jason. Oh my God, we are missing 50 years of film. Are we ever? Thanks ever so much for coming up with that one, mate. And also for all the others that you've got coming up. You put so much time into this stuff. And I tell you what, you make us all so happy with all this kind of gear. I don't know what we're going to do without 50 years of film. I'm really enjoying the random posts that people are putting up, so the random posters and all that sort of thing. It's really, really good. I've got to put a few more on myself, actually. I've not been putting many on this week, but everybody else seems to have embraced it. And I think it's just a gap filler until your next thing comes along, which I believe starts on September the 1st. I mean, as I say, on behalf of the group, thanks ever so much, Jace. You've really kept us going over the last, I think it's 2 months we've been doing that for now. I'm slowly working on my 50 years of film, or whatever, going backwards from 1972. But as you know, I don't have as much time nowadays, so I have to, it's virtually a crawl. I know you can spend hours on these things. I don't seem to get the time to do that. But I will be starting that at some point. I think I'm back to about 1968 at the moment. But yeah, thanks ever so much, mate. Really, really appreciate that. You've kept us all going for the last 2 months with that. I think the group would have looked very, very kind of empty without that. But we've all sort of started putting these random posts on. So, as I say, we're keeping it going in the tradition that you started it, and we're all looking forward to seeing what comes up on September the 1st. it's going to be interesting. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Right, Chris, you put a post up about The Sons of Katie Elder, a John Wayne movie. I remember this movie from when I was a kid. I've never seen it, but I do remember it was pretty much always on a Sunday afternoon. There usually was a Sunday afternoon Western, and at least twice a year, The Sons of Katie Elder would be screened, usually on ITV. Never got to watch it, but from what you said about it, I would really, really like to catch up with it now. So I'm going to be trying to get a copy of that to have a look at and add it to my ever-growing watch list. So yeah, and that Watership Down box set, oh God, I know you pre-ordered it, and I am poised over the pre-order button pretty much most days. It's not my favourite film, but I do have sort of fond memories of watching it the first time and being quite shocked that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, which was a kids' animation sort of cartoon thing about a bunch of cutesy rabbits living in a warren, and it was absolutely completely the other end of the scale, totally different. As I said before, Watership Down pretty much traumatized a whole generation of kids when it came out in 1978. But that box set looks handsome. You get books, you get, I think, art cards in there. There are 2 discs, so I'm guessing there are going to be an absolute wealth of extras. Plus, it's a BFI release, which means it's going to be quality. So I can see myself pre-ordering that, or at least getting it when it's out. Yeah, I can see that being a definite purchase. So it's only a matter of time. What else have I got here? Callie and Guy. Not had a chance to watch your Predator podcast yet, folks, but I will be taking a look at it over the next few days. I think you got a. Is there a second part to this? I'm sure you mentioned that it was a 2-parter. I did watch Prey, the Predator sequel or the Predator prequel, last night. My thoughts on that in the next video. Yeah, I'm not even going to hint at what I thought of that. Let's come back to that one later. But yes, I will be watching your Predator podcast sometime during this week. Right, big news. Or is it? Roadhouse. They are remaking the classic Patrick Swayze movie, Roadhouse, which I believe was released about 88, 89, possibly. What to say? It's going to star Jake Gyllenhaal, and the latest cast member to come up is Conor McGregor. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, is Conor McGregor a boxer, not an actor? Maybe I'm being a bit quick to judge, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the original movie, but I do enjoy it, and whenever it's on, I normally end up watching it. Patrick Swayze, Sam Elliott, I think they're the only 2 I can remember actually. But it's a good film. It's nothing to me. It's nothing special, but it's a good film. But I know it is special to a lot of people. And when I put the post on about the remake, the opinion was pretty unanimous that it's why would you want to do that? No, don't do it. That kind of thing. I mean, as far as Patrick Swayze goes, when you think of Patrick Swayze, maybe the top 3 films would have to be, obviously, Dirty Dancing, which I thought was brilliant, Ghost, which I also thought was brilliant, and then there's Roadhouse, which is good. I enjoyed it. Why, oh why, do we keep remaking movies, classic movies? Caroline, I think you mentioned to me quite a while ago, if you're going to remake a movie, why not remake a movie that didn't work the first time and make it better? Why remake a movie or reboot or whatever you care to call it, a film that is so beloved by everybody that enjoys it, and you just know pretty much 98% of people are gonna say, you know, yeah, maybe it's all right, but it's nowhere near as good as the original. You know that's what's coming, because even I would say that. if you're going to do that, change the story, give it a different title, make it original. Don't try to remake things, especially not things that have done really well the first time. The latest one I've heard about is The Lost Boys. Why would you do that? That is such a classic movie, and without the cast that you had in that, oh god, this is me again, isn't it? This is me saying it won't work without Kiefer Sutherland and the Hames, and is it Corey Haim and Corey Feldman and all of that? Like, it won't possibly work. It may do, I don't know. The other excuse they're always using for reboots and remakes is that we want to introduce it to a new audience, a younger audience that don't remember the original. Well, here's a thought: show them the original, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Roadhouse is perfectly violent enough, brilliant enough, nicely done. The action scenes are superb. The story is brilliant. Just show them that. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't remake something that you pretty much, you're setting yourself up for a fall with this one. But maybe I'm wrong. We shall see. The other one, along the same lines, is Beverly Hills Cop 4. Now, I loved the first two. Wasn't overly keen on the third one. I think Dave Lowe, you said you loved the third one, so maybe I need to give that a second look. I don't know. It's a while since I've seen it. But again, Eddie Murphy's getting on in years now. He's got to be, I would imagine, in his 60s, maybe older. I don't know. I mean, the original, the first Beverly Hills Cop, and possibly the second, were absolutely superb. But to me, what made them work is the fact that Eddie Murphy was a cocky, arrogant, smart mouth. That's what made it work. I'm not sure it's going to work as well with him being a lot older. I mean, is he going to have been promoted? Is he going to be captain or something like that to the precinct? I don't know. But again, whether it can work any better with him in the lead as opposed to a remake with a completely different actor, I don't know. But I don't know why. Again, I don't know why you would do it. I mean, look what happened with Coming to America. I've not seen the original Coming to America. I do want to watch it because I've heard it's absolutely brilliant. But the sequel, Coming to America, is apparently dire, really, really bad. So really, I'd have thought that if you're going to do Beverly Hills Cop 4, alarm bells should be ringing. But maybe they've got something special up their sleeves for this one. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see what happens. That one's dropping onto Netflix apparently, so it's not even going to get a theatrical release. So whether that's an indication of the amount of confidence they've actually got in it, they're basically going to drop all the advertising and just drop it onto Netflix. We'll see what happens anyway. I think that's 2023, so that's going to be next year when that one hits. But I'll sort of keep you posted on that the more I hear about it. The other big news this week, it was Batgirl, the movie, has been shelved. It was given test screenings, and the basic opinion was the film is absolutely dreadful, really, really awful, and they have just pulled it completely and stuck it in a vault, and it will probably never be seen again. Now, this thing cost, and the figures vary on this, between $60 and $90 million. My God, it must be nice to be able to write off that kind of a figure. I mean, a couple of people have said, I think Dave Lowe, you're one of them, why can't they just quietly drop it onto one of the streaming services, no advertising, they don't need to spend any more on it, and all the people that would actually, that like these DC movies will find it and watch it, whether they think it's brilliant or crap is another matter. I mean, as soon as I heard that the thing was awful, my first reaction was, I really want to see this now, to see what it's like and what makes it so awful. I haven't seen Catwoman, which is the last one they did, which really didn't do very well at all. That was Halle Berry. I haven't seen it, but I wouldn't mind watching that one and this Batgirl. But the way it's looking at the moment, it's been shoved into a corner. It's never going to be seen again. But I reckon in time, You know, if they spent 60 or 90 million dollars or whatever it was on this movie, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Just to do something with it. It can't be that bad, surely. Not at that price, but hopefully we'll get a chance to find out. And if it does drop onto one of the streaming platforms, I will be having a look at it and just see what I think. I'm not the biggest sort of Marvel DC fan at all, but I am curious to see what makes this film so awful, but we'll see. Steve McCartney, love your new video, mate. I've only watched a bit of it so far, but I will almost certainly be investing in a copy of The Big Chill. I remember that movie from a long time back. Really, really enjoyed it. Stellar cast: Glenn Close, Kevin Kline. There's loads of people in there, and it had a cracking soundtrack. The last time I saw The Big Chill would have been on VHS when it came out. That's how long ago it was. So yeah, I will be almost certainly grabbing a copy of that, and I'll finish your video off as soon as I get a minute. Love the new titles, by the way. Very, very flash. Very nice. I can only aspire to that. So, right, I think that's it. I'm just going to quickly browse through my notes here, just make sure I've not actually forgotten anything. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's it. So, right, I'm going to leave it at that for this one. I'll upload this one very, very shortly. I'll be back a bit later on with all the usual stuff. Bin It or Keep It, Soundtrack of the Week, Book of the Week, Quote Encounters. I'll also be doing another top 10. So that'll be coming a little bit later on. So enjoy the rest of your morning, folks, and I'll be back with you shortly. End of part 1. Talk to you in a bit. Ta-da. Hey up you lot, welcome back to part 2. Right, coming up we've got the usual stuff: Bin It or Keep It, Quote Encounters, Book of the Week, Vinyl of the Week. I bought a couple of DVDs and a couple of books this week, so I'll be showing those off. My thoughts on the new Predator movie Prey, and I'll be doing a top 10 in a couple of minutes. First off, a couple of birthdays have just flashed up on my Facebook. So I should have done these in the last video, and if I'd have checked my Facebook I would have done. But happy birthday to our very own Jace, 50 years old. Oh my God, Jason, I remember when you used to come in the shop, you were only like so high, all spiky hair and teeth. I remember it well. I can't believe you're 50 years old, dude. Anyway, happy birthday, mate. And also to Simon, who's 37. And it's sickening because he only looks about 20 bleeding 5. I don't know how you do it, mate, but happy birthday. And as it happens, it's your top 10 that I'm going to be doing now, so I'll crack on with that. Now, these are in no particular order. He did seem a bit concerned that he'd not put numbers on them, but it really doesn't matter, and this goes for all of you. It honestly doesn't matter. You don't have to do them in reverse order, or 1 to 10, or A to Z, or whatever. Just get your lists over to me. I'm doing 1 a week at the moment. I may have to increase it to 2 a week due to the amount I'm getting through. I've had quite a few. But as I say, if I don't get round to yours for a few weeks, don't think I've forgotten you. I've got them all, or I will have them all written down. I've got them all on the computer and on Facebook Messenger, and you've all been sending me emails and all sorts. So I will get them all written down, and I will get round to them all. So don't think I've forgotten you. Right, Simon's top 10. I'll do these in no particular order. The first one is White Chicks. He's got a very special reason for liking this movie, which I'm not going to go into because it's quite personal, but he does love this movie. I've never seen it. I know of it. It's the Wayans brothers basically adopting whiteface to do, I think the coppers, aren't they, on the policemen, something like that. But I've never seen it. I do remember thinking at the time, and I certainly think it now, if you were to do blackface, i.e. minstrels and stuff like that, the world will be up in arms. Now, whether this will be the case with this one, with black guys doing whiteface, I don't know whether that's a different thing altogether, but I'll come back to that one. That's another discussion altogether. Next one, Goodfellas. What a cracking movie to have on any top 10 list. I believe this was on Will's list last week. Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Ray Liotta. One of the ultimate gangster movies. If I had to list the top 5 gangster movies, Goodfellas would definitely be up there, along with The Godfather, Once Upon a Time in America, which at the time I thought was one of the most violent gangster movies I'd ever seen. Another one that would make it onto that list would be the next one on his list, which is Casino. Again, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and a lot of other fairly well-known actors. Sharon Stone. I think I said last week that Casino, to me, is the movie that proved that Sharon Stone can actually act properly, as opposed to the kind of thing she was doing in Basic Instinct, which was a very, very different movie. I loved Basic Instinct. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. But obviously it wasn't a movie to be taken seriously. This one was. So, I mean, you've got 2 Scorsese classics there, Simon. So, yeah, the cracking movies to have on any list. The Longest Yard. Not sure about this one. I have got the strangest feeling that this is a remake or a reboot of the movie starring Burt Reynolds. Or am I thinking of The Mean Machine? I don't know. I have got the strangest feeling this is a remake or a reboot, but maybe you lot can tell me better on this one. I have heard of it. Is it a prison movie? Which is probably one reason I've not watched it. I tend to find prison movies a little over brutal. That's probably one reason that I've not watched it. Next one, Rise of the Foot Soldier. I mean, if we're talking violence, you don't get much better than this. It's a British gangster thriller based on the true story of the Essex Boys. I saw this a long time ago, and I've actually bought it on Blu-ray along with the 4 sequels. The 4 sequels I've not watched yet, but I keep meaning to get round to them. There have also been a lot of other movies based on the story of the Essex Boys. I think Bonded by Blood was one. There must be at least a dozen of them. And whenever I see one of these movies come up, I think, yeah, it is probably good, but how many different ways can you tell the same story? But Rise of the Foot Soldier, I thought was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I just had trouble with the violence in parts, that's all. And the most alarming part about the whole thing for me is that these people were real. They're actually based on proper people, and that scared the hell out of me more than any of the violence. But if you've not seen it, you've got to watch it for the pizza cutter incident, which is embedded up here. It's one of those images that you see and you can't unsee it, and you wish you could sometimes. That involved the guy who played Big Dan in EastEnders. I can't remember his name. He's a huge geezer, frightening as hell. And as for Tony Tucker, terrifying, absolutely terrifying creation. But yeah, Rise of the Foot Soldier, good choice. The other guys, I know nothing about this one. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. So maybe you guys can clue me up on that one and tell me whether that's worth a look. Same with the next one, How High. Never heard of that one either. Somebody recommended one to me the other week called The Air Up There. No, it's obviously not that one because it's a completely different thing. So no, I have no idea about that one either. So if any of you can enlighten me on How High, I'd appreciate it. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. Oh my God, this is one of my pet hates. The reason being, when this movie came out, which I think was the early 90s, I worked with a group of lads who were forever impersonating Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey, and it used to drive me bloody nuts. Alrighty then, it was all that kind of thing. Every half hour somebody would do it. It used to drive me mad, and it kind of put me off wanting to actually watch the film. I mean, 30 years have passed, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm not a massive Jim Carrey fan. I understand he was really good in The Mask. He's done a couple of, I believe, cracking dramas. I think one was called Me, Myself and Irene. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I believe, is supposed to be very good as well. But I haven't seen Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, due to the fact that The impersonations just used to drive me bloody crazy, so I've never bothered with it. Deep Blue Sea. This was the last movie that I saw at Burton Odeon. Oh no, Cineworld. This was. I have seen it since on DVD and Blu-ray and absolutely loved it. As long as you don't think of Jaws, which whenever you see a shark movie, you automatically think of Jaws. If you don't think of Jaws, you're all right. It's a cracking film. Samuel L. Jackson's in it, so I mean you can't go wrong with that. The story goes. I actually went to Cineworld to watch it. There was a lot of talking and a lot of mobile phones going off in the cinema during the commercials and the trailers. And this carried on into the film. And I just remember sitting there 15 minutes into the movie, and I got mobiles lighting up like Christmas trees all around me. And there was some geezer sat behind me actually describing what was happening in the film over the phone to his mate. And I thought, do you know what? Screw this. I can't do this anymore. I love movies and I love the cinema, but I can't sit with these bloody idiots. So it's the first time I think I've ever walked out of a movie, and that was the last time I went to the cinema. And I know it may be different now, I don't know, but the thought of sitting in a room with complete strangers doing stupid things when they're supposed to, I mean, why? Why would you do it? Why would you pay? I don't know how much it is now, but why would you pay money to see a film and basically spend the whole time dicking about with your phone? So anyway, I diverse. That's nothing to do with it. Deep Blue Sea, cracking movie. Yeah, well impressed with that one. Now, on every list that I've had, well, every list that I've received, there's always one movie that stands out for one reason or another. And the one that stands out on this one for me is Knobs and Broomsticks. I don't know why it surprises me. It's just one of those movies that you look down the list and it's like, oh, that one. Okay. I remember my mum taking me to see Knobs and Broomsticks in the early 70s. It would have been about 1972, and this was at Burton Odeon. Absolutely loved it. The animated football match was just brilliantly done, and is still as funny as hell now when you watch it. And some of the songs in there, The Age of Not Believing, Beautiful Bryony, all of that kind of thing. I absolutely loved it. Angela Lansbury was superb in it. It was just a classic Disney live action, partly animated movie, and I loved it, and I still love it to this day. So you obviously have fond memories of watching it with your kids, Si. So that's why that one's on the list. But that one did stick out. I think that's 10. I'm not sure, but we've got some honourable mentions that he wanted me to bring up. First one is Ted. Ted, isn't that the sweary teddy bear? Sweary teddy bear. I'm sure it was. Mark Wahlberg. Never seen it. It's the kind of thing that probably would appeal to me. I just never got round to watching it. But I'm sure I'm right with that one. Central Intelligence. We talked about this one a few weeks back. This is Kevin Hart. Now, I'd never heard of Kevin Hart. And then you mentioned Central Intelligence and gave me a rough idea of the story behind it. And I remembered seeing the trailer quite a while back. I believe Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is in it. And I thought, yeah, I'm gonna track that one down and have a look. Team America World Police. Thunderbird puppets for adults. I remember this one. This was done by the team that did South Park. I remember it well. I've not seen it, and it's another one that I keep meaning to watch. But if it's done by the team that did South Park, it's going to be funny. Mars Attacks. I've seen the first 10 minutes of this recently, and I thought the aliens were absolutely brilliant. And I keep meaning to watch this. Jack Nicholson is in this, I think. So there's a reason in itself to watch it. But that's another one that's gone onto my watch list. Black Mass. Never seen it, but I believe it's to do with a notorious gangster. Is it 1970s, 1980s? That's another one that I keep meaning to track down. As somebody else mentioned this one to me the other week. One of our security guards mentioned this one before you put it on your list. So it's sort of on my watch list. Deadpool. Never watched it. I know very little about it apart from it's a superhero. And does he swear a lot? Is that pretty much it? I don't know. you guys just convinced me that Deadpool is more than that. And the final one, Trinity is Still My Name. This was a late edition. You came up to me with this one last week. I looked it up. I had the feeling that I'd seen it before. I recognised the title. I know it stars Bud Spencer and Terence Hill, who were always at Burton Odeon. There was double bills of their movies all summer long, every year in the 70s. The one I remember is a double bill of a movie, two movies called Odds and Evens and Watch Out, We're Mad. I think I saw that double bill 2 or 3 times. So I was a big fan, and the one thing I remember more than anything is Terence Hill had piercing blue eyes, and that's what I remember, and the comedy was just superb. And as soon as I played the trailer on YouTube to remind me about it, I recognised the slapping scene straight away, and I thought, I've seen this, I know this one, but it's one that I'm going to be watching again. But that's a cracking choice. I'll put some trailers on if I think on the YouTube, on the Facebook group. If you like Trinity is Still My Name, I'm fairly sure you would like their other movies, because it's the same sort of thing. It's knockabout slapstick humour. Yeah, well worth a look. And finally, on this top 10, there were 3 titles that I thought were going to be on this, and they kind of caught me off guard. First one was 8 Mile. I mentioned this one to you. You said it was quite good and you'd seen it. Another one was Straight Outta Compton, which I think you said you bought, but you've not watched yet. But this movie, I've looked it up, it's 2 hours and 35 minutes long, so that's a long haul for a film. It's not the kind of thing I would watch due to the rap soundtrack, and we all know how I feel about rap music, so that's pretty much a loser for me. And the last one that I expected to see on there was Kid Adulthood, and we spoke about this one the other day. I've never made it past the first 15 minutes or 10 minutes of this movie. I can't get past the bullying scenes at the beginning. They are just absolutely horrendous. And you put an even more horrendous thought in my mind when you said to me the other day that schools are really like this nowadays. Please tell me that was an exaggeration. I would hate to think that schools are like this. Those scenes were horrible, and I've yet to get past them. I've seen that first 10 minutes 2 or 3 times, and it just gets worse every time I watched it. Apart from the poor people being bullied, there wasn't one character in that film, in that first 10 minutes, that basically didn't deserve a bullet between the eyes. Absolutely useless, completely pointless human beings to me. But I'm ranting. Yeah, that's what I expected to see on there. And you've obviously seen it and enjoyed it, so maybe I should look it up and give it one more go. But I'm fairly sure I wouldn't get past that first 10 minutes, but we'll see. So that's Simon's top 10. Cracking list, mate. Right, what have I been buying this week? Very quickly, I'll rattle through these. Start with this one. Free State of Jones. And now this was recommended to me by Will Barlow, whose list I did last week, and this was on that list. I knew nothing about it, apart from it's set during the American Civil War. It's a very different story to what you would think it would be. I won't read the back. Well, I'll read basically. See, it's an epic drama set during the Civil War and tells the story of defiant Southern farmer Newt Knight and his extraordinary armed rebellion against the Confederacy. Banding together with other small farmers and local slaves, Knight launched an uprising that led Jones County, Mississippi, to secede from the Confederacy, creating a free state of Jones. Yeah, looking forward to watching this. Really looking forward to watching this. Matthew McConaughey has done some absolute stinkers over the years, but he's also done a couple of classics, and I think this is probably going to be one of them. So I'm looking forward to getting into this one at some point very, very soon. And on the same page on Amazon, I spotted this one. I seem to have started on a sort of a slavery movie, kind of 12 Years a Slave. I haven't seen it, know nothing about it, but as soon as I mentioned this one to Will, his first words were, "Ooh, brutal." So I don't know how far I'm going to get with this. It's a 15 certificate. It is supposed to be quite nasty. Who's in this? Is Benedict Cumberbatch is in this? Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? I can't see. Oh yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch, Brad Pitt is in there. So I'm looking forward to watching it, but I get the feeling there's going to be a lot of this going off and all that sort of thing. But let's see, it was nominated for. It's an Oscar winner, Best Picture, Supporting Actress and Adapted Screenplay. It's also won BAFTAs for Best Film and Leading Actor, so that's got to be worth a look. So I will be taking a look at that one, but through my fingers most of it probably. We'll see how we go. I did buy a couple of books, so I'll class these as Book of the Week. First one, X Certificate. Now this is basically a history of the British independent horror film from 1951 to 1970. So I am going to find these absolutely fascinating. Obviously the X Certificate was the forerunner of what is now the 18. And as I've said before, the 18 is just boring. There was something very, very magical about the curtains opening in the cinema and you see this film has been past X. Very much like this thing behind me, this Clockwork Orange thing, that is basically what it looked like. And this is a history of X Certificate movies from 1951 to 1970. And obviously getting that one, I couldn't leave behind its companion. So this is the same thing but 1971 to 1983. And they are very, very well illustrated. I'll try and do this, but we all know it doesn't really work. But they're quite well illustrated, as you can see. Oh, God. There you go, photographs. So I'm really, really looking forward to reading these. There's going to be some titles in there that I'm going to want to look up, stuff that I've not heard of. Now then, bin it or keep it. I'm going to go for this one. I've watched it recently. I bought this because I loved it years ago, but I haven't seen it for quite a while. But it was one of my favourites, Casino Royale. Now this is not the Daniel Craig version. This is the Peter Sellers, Woody Allen version with the cracking Burt Bacharach soundtrack. Obviously the late great David Niven is in this playing Bond. It's a spoof basically on the Bond films. It came out about 1967. It did not do well theatrically. It wasn't critically well received, but the public seemed to like it, and I really enjoyed it. I looked at it earlier this week and thought, I need to know whether I'm going to bin this or get. It's a definite keeper, without a doubt. I really, really enjoyed it. It's not the best film, but I'm a bit of a completist as well. I've got all the other Bond movies. This is not, strictly speaking, a Bond movie as such. But I will be keeping that one. You've got, as I say, Peter Sellers, Ursula Andress, David Niven, Orson Welles, Woody Allen. It's quite a cast. And as I say, it's not the best as far as Bond movies go, but I thought this was really, really good. So this is a definite keeper. I'm not doing very well with dumping things at the moment. I need to find some that I know I'm going to think are crap so I can thin things out a bit. Right, vinyl of the week. It's not a film, it's a TV series. I don't know what made me buy this. I was a huge fan of this series on a Saturday morning. In fact, Saturday mornings were... Tis was. Go back a bit, there you go. Tis was, the Four Bucketeers. Tis was the ultimate Saturday morning kids show, or supposed kids show. Anybody that remembers it will look back on it now and think there is no way you could do a show like that now. Health and safety would dictate that you can't do 90% of the things that used to go off on this. Soaking people with water, dropping things on them, custard pies everywhere. It was absolutely mental. It was really funny. This is where Chris Tarrant started. You'd also got Sally James, Bob Carroll G's, John Gorman. And what's on this? There you go, there's the track listing. I haven't played this for years, but you've got like the Bucket of Water song, the Dying Fly, Telly Sally Time. You've also got that unforgettable version of Bright Eyes from Watership Down by, what was his name? Matthew somebody or other. I can't remember, but you can see him there in his rabbit costume. It was just this to me. This was absolutely brilliant. I've got a couple of DVDs which I'll show off when I can remember to do it, of highlights from Tiz Was, and it is still as funny now as it was back then. But that's my vinyl of the week. Tiz Was, the 4 Bucketeers. I bet it's wearing a bit now. Let's have a look. We got a nice little insert there with T-shirts for sale for. It was a poster for 50p. The T-shirts £2.75. My God, you wouldn't get a T-shirt for that now. Definitely not. You've got that on there. And the vinyl. I used to play this quite a lot, so I'm guessing it's actually not looking too bad, considering how old it is. That must go back to the early 80s. So that's my vinyl of the week. Now, have I forgotten anything? Quote encounters for this week. I forgot it last week, so thanks Jason for filling in for me on that one. I'm going to try and say this exactly as it was, but I may get it slightly wrong. But I'm fairly sure you will all get this. It goes like this. This is the nicest, cleanest police car I have ever been in. This thing is cleaner than my apartment. That's it. So, answers on a postcard or in the comments or whatever to that one. Right, I do believe that is it. Oh, Prey. I was going to talk about Prey. The Predator prequel. Watched it last night. Now, this is the movie of the moment. Everybody is talking about Prey. And before I watched it, I read a couple of reviews. And every one that I've read and every other one that I've seen have given it glowing reviews, and I thought to myself, I really, really hope this is going to be as good as I'm hearing. I'm not the biggest Predator fan. I've seen the first one, loved it. Haven't seen any of the sequels, not seen Predator 2, the Alien versus Predators. I've not seen either of those. The only one I've seen is the original. So this opinion is basically coming from a person that has only ever seen the first one. I am happy to report that I thoroughly enjoyed it. Not sure whether I'm going to be watching it again. I probably will do. I would imagine that I would do a sort of a season of Predator movies. It has kind of made me want to watch the sequels, the rest of them. So if a box set comes out with Predator 2 and all the others, including the AVPs, and obviously Prey, I will almost certainly pick that up and have a watch of it, without a doubt. But I thought it was really, really, really well done. Apparently there was a reference to Predator 2 right at the end, which went straight over my head because I've not seen Predator 2. Something to do with a pistol, I don't know. But the film itself I thought was excellent. It's set in the early 1700s on the American plains. I believe her name is Naru. She's a Comanche warrior trying to prove herself to the tribe, and gets involved with hunting down this thing that has come out of the sky. I just thought it was really, really well done. It was an original approach to it as well, setting it all those years ago. But I thought it was excellent. I would highly, highly recommend it. Everybody loved this movie. We get a list here. I had a list of everybody that... Dave Oliver, Savage Zombie Reviews, you loved it. Callie and Guy, you adored it. Carmela, Salem Cellar, you enjoyed it. Every single review that I've read of Prey has praised it and said it is absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was quite surprised because I've seen the trailers and thought to myself, oh, it looks kind of, yeah, it looks all right, but it's dropping onto Netflix. So is it Netflix or Prime it's dropped onto? Disney Plus and Hulu. So how good is it going to be? Why have they not given it a theatrical release? And now I've seen it, I think that's even more. It would have done very well theatrical, I think, in cinemas. So I'm quite surprised it never dropped onto the cinema circuit. But yeah, if you're thinking of watching it, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. The fight scenes are superb. The action is brilliant. There's enough violence to satisfy pretty much any gorehound out there. and the locations, oh my God, the American planes are absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, it's a definite win-win. I would definitely give it a 9 out of 10. So if you're thinking of watching Prey, go for it. You will not be disappointed. Right, I'm going to leave it at that for this week. Thanks ever so much for joining me, as per usual. I'll be back next week, hopefully with more of the same. If you've enjoyed the videos, give us a thumbs up and also subscribe. That would be amazing. I think I'm up to about 67 or 68 subscribers. So I'm really, really pleased with that. So as I say, thanks for joining us, guys, and I'll be back again next week. Have a brilliant week, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Ta-da.